What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I'm feeling like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Wise here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders. Today is no different. I have Maggie McTavish of Mango Media. You can check them out at mangomedia.ca. And Maggie, before I formally introduce you, I always like to point out other episodes of the podcast people should check out. Since this is part of the Top Agency series, a couple of my favorites. I had Todd Taskey on. Todd Taskey helps pair agencies with private equity. So he helps sell agencies. He has the Second Bite podcast. I've probably listened to most episodes, Maggie, because he talks about the valuation space. He talks about agencies who have actually sold. He talks about private equities who have bought. And it's called Second Bite because sometimes when they sell to private equity, the private equity sells again. They sometimes make more on the second bite than they do on the first. So it was an interesting conversation about the agency world, valuations, and everything like that. Another good one was Jason Swink. Jason Swink talked about how he built his agency up to 8 figures and sold it. And then his next chapter was actually buying agencies. And he also has an agency mastermind group where he helps agencies come together and help each other. So check that episode out as well, and many more on InspiredInsider.com. This episode is brought to you by Rise 25. Rise 25, we help businesses give to and connect to their dream relationships and partnerships. How do we do that? We do that by helping you run your podcast. We're an easy button for a company to launch and run a podcast. We do the strategy, the accountability, and the full execution. So Maggie, we're kind of like the magic elves that run in the background. They make it look easy for the host so they can create amazing content, amazing relationships, but most importantly, run their business. For me, the number one thing in my life is relationships. And I'm always looking at ways to give to my best relationships. And I have personally found no better way over the past decade than to profile the people and companies I most admire and share with the world what they're working on. So if you've thought about podcasting, you should. If you have questions, you can go to rise25.com or email us at support@rise25.com. We actually have a lot of free episodes on Inspired Insider for all the questions we get. They're free. You can go check them out. What software tools do I need? And every other question we've gotten. So check those out. I'm excited to introduce Maggie McTavish. She's the founder of Mango Media. Mango Media is a web and SEO agency that helps businesses in Canada and beyond create high-ranking websites. Okay, with over 12 years of digital marketing experience, she really has an expertise. I would say, Maggie, you bridge the gap between a beautiful website and design, but effective search engine optimization. Because if you create this website, you need people to visit the website, right? So they go hand in hand together. So she works with clients to help increase their online presence, whether it's bookings, whether it's more customers, through that organic search, so they can grow their business. So Maggie, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Jeremy. And as you said, every time someone's searching for some sort of business help, you will most likely will go to Google as a first step to try to find what's out there. So yeah, that's definitely where the SEO kicks in.
Just start us off. And there's a video piece. I'm going to share the Mango Media website for a second, but just talk about Mango Media and give us a quick overview of what you do.
For sure. So I'd be happy to. So essentially, as you mentioned, throughout my whole digital marketing career over the last 12 years, I'd see all the different facets of digital marketing. And one of the things that stood out all the time is that many times website designers will create a very beautiful website, but then the SEO might be lacking and it's not ranking properly. And it was a struggle for lots of people and business owners that just launched this beautiful creation. And then on the flip side, typically when there would be the websites within the first search results, they were not the most appealing to look at. Maybe they lacked a lot of visual interest, but they were ranking within the top positions of Google. So I find that, yes, for small to medium-sized businesses, the Google ecosystem and being having them rank on search results is key, because that is going to be free leads for them to come through. They don't have to spend money on paid advertising. As long as they're ranking, they're being discovered. So that's what sparked Mango Media to really bridge that gap between the two, web and SEO, Google friendly side of things. So more local businesses can get discovered.
People can see if they're watching this, we're on the mangomedia.ca page. There's the SEO piece. I'm curious, what are the biggest mistakes you see people make with SEO? And we can see there's a proven process here. So, when you're going to a company, you're probably evaluating, you're looking at advanced key research, keyword research, technical and SEO content, optimizing technical performance. Number 4 is optimizing existing content, and then you create the new SEO-driven content and then acquire high-quality backlinks, and then obviously support it with the different reports. So what are the biggest mistakes you see people make?
So sometimes SEO can be an afterthought for a lot of new website builds, or especially when I find that someone has engaged a new web designer, web developer, and they have to migrate or create a completely brand new website. That's a very sensitive time, because if you're already ranking pretty well and you completely replace that with a new build and don't have a proper SEO strategy in place, you are going to, unfortunately, you might lose on a lot of the rankings that you already had if you're not migrating things the right way. So
yeah, totally. I mean, I had a friend, they're like, I need a new website, we're gonna revamp it. And I know enough to be dangerous. I'm like, just be careful, right? Because I've heard you and other people say, okay, you redo your website and then you just lose whatever links are out there because they're broken, then you're up the creek, like all that work you did for a decade.
That's right. So yes, I find that, yeah, it can be sometimes a bit of an afterthought. So having that implemented from day one and part of the web design process is key to make sure that, yeah, you keep your current rankings and do everything you can to improve what already exists.
What about for a company that comes to you? They have the website, like, I like our website. I'm not going to do a new website, but what are some of the biggest problem areas or low-hanging fruit you find when you start looking under the hood and they're like, yeah, Maggie, I'm not sure what's going on here. We need to increase our traffic.
For sure. So a couple items that come to mind is, number one is increasing website load speed. So this goes for both Google's happiness and your website visitors' happiness. If you have a slow loading website, people are just going to leave. Googlebot's not going to be happy, and it probably won't rank as well as it could be. So that's absolutely key. So making sure that you have like a fast, reliable hosting provider. And within the actual website, one quick tip would be resizing images in a way that are optimal to the max size that you'll have on your website displayed. So you're not uploading huge files that are worth hundreds of megabytes, because that's really going to start slowing things down. You want something that's extremely fast.
Do you sometimes move people? Like, let's say that's the first thing you check, right? Okay, people are probably thinking, okay, we start ranking keywords, and you're like, your site is slow. Will you sometimes go, listen, let us put you on this faster hosting and that will help? Or
It's definitely part of the process, yes. So many times my role, I come in a bit of as an advisor and a consultant for a lot of these businesses. So I find especially smaller businesses tend to start their website with certain providers like Wix or Weebly or Squarespace, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, they are very user-friendly, very easy to work with. But on the downside, you don't have the technical ability to modify the speed. Like, you're kind of like dependent on them. So many times I have had, yeah, clients come to me that are within these platforms, and we end up migrating to the WordPress environment, for example, because that's when we can really have more control and speed things up for them.
are there certain hosting providers you prefer?
Yeah, I'd say one of the one of the more reasonable priced ones that is very reliable is SiteGround. So that's one that typically I'd say like it's very sufficient for a lot of the clients. If not, like Kinsta is really good too. So yeah, there's some really reliable ones, but I would advise, and no hate, but I would advise staying away from like GoDaddy and some of these other probably more popular sounding providers, just because yeah, they're not worth the negative points you'd get within SEO.
Yeah, GoDaddy more for domains, but less
That's right.
for
For
hosting.
hosting,
Yeah.
it's a very different
Yeah.
situation.
So if people are like, oh, my site is so slow, people do call you and you can kind of migrate their site over to like a faster hosting and make sure the
100%.
SEO is intact. That makes sense.
Yeah.
What else will help people rank better on Google?
Okay.
What are
So
the
I mean,
factors?
as we see here on your screen within my process, the first step is that you have to have the proper keyword library that you want to go after. Identifying based on where your website is at, identifying which keywords are realistic for your site. Because we might find keywords that have thousands of searches a month, but if your website doesn't have the authority to really compete and try to gain that keyword, I'd say like let's be realistic and go after keywords that you could probably rank for at this stage as we continue to work on your authority and add to that. But always first prioritizing keywords that are lower in the sales funnel. So making sure that yeah, we're going after the keywords that people have that higher intent to buy or complete some sort of transaction.
Yeah, that's great. How do you do a discovery with them, or do you do research through tools to figure that out?
Yeah, so typically I like to get an idea of what keywords they believe are what people are searching for within Google. And then I'll validate that as we go through our keyword research process. Of course, we have different tools to validate that, where we then identify the whole library of keywords that people are searching for that are related to their business. How many people are searching that per month? What's the keyword difficulty for them to rank for that? And that's going to really help set the strategy for all the content that will be either changing that already exists or new content that we want to be targeting.
Maggie, what are some of your favorite tools in software that you like?
So I'd say probably the ones I just use all the time. Like there's many out there, but SEMrush is very reliable. Like they have lots of great data there. Sometimes I'd say it's an overwhelming amount of data. And the second one that's newer, it's called Rankability. So this tool was created by SEO professionals, like SEO experts, and essentially it captures all the content within like the top ranking pages for a specific keyword, and it helps you create and write better ranking content.
What about from like a staff management perspective? What do you use kind of internally, whether it's project management or email or communication?
Yeah, I'd say like honestly, like I like to keep it pretty simple when it comes to that. So the Gmail suite like the Google suite is really great. It does the job, and yeah, typically like email or Google Chat is sufficient.
I want to point out I did have Eugene Levin on, who was the chief, or maybe he is now still, of SEMrush. I think it's used, they were saying at the time, used by over 3 million marketers, their tool. So it's
At the
probably
time.
pretty robust and comprehensive. And he kind of shared some of the ways that he overcame adversity and how he thinks about strategy and development. So that was an interesting episode. So thanks for mentioning them. Um, and so anything else like that people should be thinking about from a ranking on Google better perspective?
For sure. So I'd say if they are serving customers locally, their Google business profile is key. Something to not be ignored or forgotten about. So one thing is your website for all of the rankings within the actual search results. That's great. But low hanging fruit, yeah, optimize your Google business profile. Ask for reviews. Like most times your customers will want to leave you a review. They might just not think about it, or they might forget about it. So sending them a friendly reminder, asking them for a review goes a long way.
One thing that struck me, Maggie, on your website is niche. That popped out to me. And it's niche also not just from services like SEO website, but also from a niche of location, right? You're really targeting a geographic location. Can you talk about your thought? I mean, because I know with what you do, you could really serve anyone anywhere, right? Um, but it seems to me you specifically are focused in on a specific region, and I'd love for you to talk about that thought process and decision to do that.
Absolutely. Well, with everything that I've seen through the years of experience, it's like, yeah, like businesses tend to be more successful when they niche down. And within the SEO web design world, it came down to two things. Either I pick a specific industry that I want to service, just like one type of industry category, or focus within like the local region where I live in. So I'm based in the Niagara region in Canada, and that's our number one target. So servicing local businesses, medium-sized businesses, and also what I love about helping promote the businesses here too is that it ends up being an economic multiplier because they're getting discovered, they're getting more leads, more transactions, more businesses. So it's really helping them.
I don't know. I find these days it's rare. I see this really local niche, right? So like if you were looking at the page here, when I was reading it this week, we offer a range of SEO services to help businesses, and I didn't expect this in St. Catharines, right? So if I'm a business in St. Catharines, I'm like, oh, this person's for me, right? What are some of what types of, I kind of want to talk about the favorite businesses in St. Catharines. Like what are the popular businesses? Like if I'm visiting that area, where am I going? And the types of businesses that you serve, because I'm sure there's like a lot of restaurants and shops and other things. I don't know if those are the type of clients you serve, but talk about some of the fan favorite places in St. Catharines.
Totally. Yeah. So, of course, St. Catharines is within the Niagara region, which is very popular for wineries. So it is wine county over here. And St. Catharines, yeah, like they have great restaurants. There are a few wineries. I believe there's two or three. Niagara on the Lake and surrounding areas have more wineries. But yeah, St. Catharines is one of the more populated cities within the Niagara region. So I'd say that, interestingly enough, though, my target for the businesses here that I serve are more in the professional services industry. So believe it or not, they're businesses related to real estate, brick and mortar stores, so like fireplace shops, businesses that offer renovations, so like bathroom renovations, tree care services, so arborists. So these types of businesses, that people that live here are seeking to solve some sort of problem that they may have.
Speaking of tree service, right? It's funny because we just had to have a tree chopped down in our backyard. And it's expensive. It's actually, and for good reason, because it takes a lot of work to do it. But I didn't realize, and I started talking to people, I'm like, that. So one of the people I know actually they started a business a couple years, they were running for a couple years and they sold it for a lot of money a couple years later. And it was a tree service. You've helped a tree service too. Talk about what you did for them.
Absolutely. So yeah, it can be a very lucrative business. I
Who knew?
agree. Exactly. So actually the company that I helped out, they actually helped me. I moved into a home a couple months ago, and the backyard, it was just crazy. So my husband found them just through the neighborhood. They bumped into each other, and next thing you know, they're in my backyard chopping down all these dead trees that we needed to take care of. so they weren't a liability. And just chatting along, he's like, hey, do you have a website? And that's how a lot of business actually happens, just organically through conversations. And they said, no, but we have a Google business profile that we've been having lots of trouble changing our hours, our location. We bought the business recently and we can't get a hold of, like we don't know what to do. We've tried many times. We've tried reaching out to different agencies to help us. Nothing's working. So that's when I'm like, okay, great. No problem. I'll come in, help you out. Was able to claim their Google business profile. We built a brand new website for them that is specifically
What's the
for
website URL? You remember?
it's regional tree care.
Treeservice.com?
Yeah, regionaltreeservice.com.
This is them, right?
Yes, that's the one.
Okay. You're like, first of all, how do you not have a website? Like, I don't know. Good thing they
Every
met you.
business needs a website in today. Yes.
Jeez.
So
What else? Yeah.
we built the website from scratch. Yeah. And every time, yeah, like we work on something is with that foundation focus on SEO to make sure that we're selecting the right keywords to incorporate everything throughout the content and the site itself. So we launched this site actually not too long ago, but just as an example, we launched it on a Friday and it took a couple days for it to index within Google. So Google would recognize it. And within a couple days later on Monday, they already got like their first form submission.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
feel like I can go to town with good copywriting for these tree services because the reason we did it is literally it was going to fall on our house, right? So it's like, do you not want the dead tree to fall on your house and crush your family? So call us.
exactly. Yeah, there you go.
So like that's a good example. It's kind of interesting to me that some businesses don't have a website even, but I guess it's word of mouth and they just are listed on Google Business.
Yeah, surprisingly, it does happen. I think especially in more rural areas too. But at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, business, having a website for your business is like your online business card. So even if it's something simple and straightforward that can convey your value proposition, everything that you have to offer, and it's ranking on Google so more people can find you, like it's a no-brainer for you to gain more traffic and leads.
So Maggie, I know you're a new mom. Talk about balancing running a business and now um, family life now that you have a young child.
That's right. So yeah, so I have my daughter Elizabeth. She's 7 months old. And yes, it's wild. Parenthood is no joke. It's like all the things that I would hear from other parents make sense now that I'm going through it. But what I made sure to do before giving birth more than 7 months ago was making sure that I had everything in as much check as I could, and delegating was absolutely key. So having the right people in place that I knew that could support me, especially throughout those first few months that I wanted to be fully present for my newborn child. And yes, I think that was just the key component, just delegating and having the right people to rely on.
What did you put in place specifically leading up? I mean, some people have issues and there's no notice, right? In this case, you're like, okay, I need to prepare things for this. What were you doing to prepare when you say delegating, or is there certain systems you were, actually working on behind the scenes, or people? What were you doing from like a training perspective?
Absolutely. So at least with everything that we do from an SEO perspective, we have like standard operating procedure, so SOPs built for every single step along the process. So the beautiful thing of that is, I don't want to say literally anyone could come in and do it, but almost anyone could come in with some sort of basic experience and help support, because everything is laid out in a way that they can just understand what they're supposed to do and be effective. So The other thing too is being very transparent with these individuals who supported and continue to support me along the way, setting those clear expectations like, hey, I know you typically work during the day, but I'll probably be messaging you at 2 a.m. when I'm taking care of my little one. So that was really beautiful with clients too. Like they knew that I was going to have my first child. Everyone was very supportive, and I there was nothing. No, nothing really felt wrong as I was going through the process. Like everyone was very supportive, even though, yeah, like times I would message them would be kind of crazy sometimes.
Is there any software? How do you house the SOPs? What do you use for them?
So I actually have them all within Google Sheets, like Google Drive, Google Sheets, like everything's in that environment.
Love it. Yeah, so I want to say there's a really good interview I did it with Owen McGab. He is the founder of Sweet Process, which is a software that helps you. We actually use them to house our SOPs so they're searchable. And he did talk about just how to increase efficiency with existing staff and onboarding new staff and with process SOPs like Maggie's talking about. So check that interview out. It's a really, really good one. I geek out on this stuff, Maggie, too, the SOPs, because that's kind of what makes everything run and makes it so we can sleep at night.
Gives you a bit of peace of mind, that's for sure.
100%. How did you get into running an agency?
Great question. So for the majority of my career, I actually was an employee. So I worked at different corporations, different marketing agencies, and the last one was an AI startup in Toronto. And honestly, throughout my whole career, I always had this deep desire to want to run my own business, become an entrepreneur. I think, of course, having that job security kept me within that space. And part of me just understands now that the timing in which everything worked out was just perfect, because working at different corporations allowed me to gain more of that experience, see how other agencies are run, understand how to manage a team, how to deal with clients. So basically getting a lot of experience and practice through by working at other companies.
What made you branch out finally? Because you could have just stayed, like you said, there's security there, you're having fun, you don't have to do all the other stuff involved. What was the deciding factor? Like, okay, I need to do this.
Honestly, Elizabeth, my baby. So once I was pregnant and I knew like, okay, this is going to change my life. I want more of that flexibility where I can be more present for her and not just be always tied to a 9 to 5, for example. So with Mango Media, yeah, for about 2 years now, that's when I've really ramped up the business side of things, because I knew that once she was born and once she becomes older and she's going to need more care, I want to be more involved. So yeah, she was definitely a big part of it.
Who were some of the key or positions, key hires for you as you were growing the company?
So actually, so the way I run things is a little bit different, where I believe in partnering with top tier experts who excel in their respective fields rather than building an in-house team that requires a lot of training and management. At least that's how it works right now. So like, for example, when if I have like a custom website project that comes in, I collaborate with a branding expert, and she brings a wealth of experience, creativity, and insights to the table. So then that way she works independently, delivers high quality results, and in return, I also help her and collaborate on a lot of SEO support that she might need. So similarly, that works then with my web developer, my copywriter, and a lot of the other specialists.
Are they located all over the place or are they local also?
Most of them are within Ontario. So yeah, within the GTA, the Greater Toronto area.
Love it. So Maggie, first of all, thanks for sharing the journey and some of your thoughts. I have one last question before I ask it. I want to point people to, they could check out mangomedia.ca. Also, you can check out more episodes of the podcast as well. My last question is really mentors. Is there any business mentors you've had through your journey? It could be a boss you had or just someone who's helped along the way and maybe a good piece of advice they've given you.
Absolutely. So it's funny you'd say boss because yeah, one of my previous managers is one of my mentors and now friends. So yeah, we met in 2017. His name is Patrick. So hey, Patrick, if you're watching, shout out to you. Thank you for absolutely everything. And yeah, like I definitely say like having a mentor, someone that believes in you, someone that can explain things in simple terms is key. And yeah, Patrick has been someone very influential throughout my life to help me get where I am. And on the industry, like SEO specific side of things, Nathan Gotch. So this he's from Gotch SEO, also very popular within the SEO world. So being part of his community has been amazing, where it's everyone's very, very collaborative. We're all SEO experts within the group. And just like if someone needs help with something or there's a new change within the Google ecosystem that someone needs more clarity, it's a very supportive group that we're all part of. And yeah, it's very helpful.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what's a piece of advice you've maybe gotten from Nathan, because I have found the same, Maggie, is community of people, like-minded people, and mentorship has been key in any part of my growth, whether it's business or health or whatever it is. What's something you remember Nathan sharing? Doesn't have to be with you, but with someone else, or could be with you, that's been helpful.
I'd say actually the whole niching down side of things came from him. So that comes up a lot in conversation. And it's like, yeah, either pick an industry that you want to focus on and be very good at it, or niche down within your local area where you live and be the best one. So that's what you're known for.
Love it. Maggie, I want to be the first one to thank you. Check out mangomedia.ca. Check out more episodes of the podcast. We'll see everyone next time. Thanks,
Amazing.
everyone.
Thank you.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sailing right now. I'm feeling like 100 grand.